let's be honest. Have you ever walked into your manager's office, all fired up, promising some huge, amazing result, only to get that blank, dead-eyed stare in return? Yeah, you're not alone. Making these vague promises that sound great but mean absolutely nothing is a classic workplace problem, and today we're going to fix it with a framework that's all about clarity and, well, undeniable results. You know, in the world of actually getting stuff done, there are two kinds of people who just drive managers up the wall. And I bet you've worked with both of them.
So, on one side, you've got the aimless. They look super busy, right? Always running around, but they're not actually moving the needle on anything that matters. And then, on the other side, you have the dreamer. This is the person selling that big, beautiful, but totally empty pipe dream. And look, while both are a problem, today we're zeroing in on the dreamer. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That's the exact moment of doubt. When you use words like significantly improve, you're not speaking the language of results. Nope. You're speaking the language of hopes and wishes. And that ambiguity, it just tanks your credibility right from the start. Let's just be brutally honest here. Walking into your performance review with a list of vague accomplishments is, well, it's career suicide. I mean, why? Because if you can't actually prove you succeeded, how can anyone else agree that you did? You're leaving success totally open to interpretation, and that is a gamble you just cannot afford to take. And this is exactly where the pros separate themselves from the amateurs. In the Six Sigma world, a black belt, an expert in this stuff, would never get caught using such fuzzy language. They operate with a framework built for pure clarity, precision, and results you can't argue with. They talk smart. Now, SMART isn't just some clever little acronym. It's a really disciplined process. It's a structured way to take a fuzzy ambition and forge it into a concrete target. It sets clear boundaries to stop that awful scope creep and make sure everyone, and I mean everyone, agrees on what success looks like from day one. So the whole key is understanding these 5 pillars. Each one of them tackles a potential point of failure in any project. You get all 5 right, and you've basically built a foolproof plan for success. So let's break them down. Okay, we're going to start with the first 2 together, S and M, because honestly, they're deeply connected. This is the part where we stop talking like philosophers and start talking like engineers. And this visual just perfectly illustrates the difference. Improve efficiency. It's a foggy cloud, right? It feels good to say, but what does it actually mean? But a 15% increase by Q4? Now that is a calibrated gauge. It's a number. It's a target. There is zero room for debate. You either hit it or you don't. Simple as that. Here is a world-class example for you. Just notice the precision. What are we reducing? SLA violations. Where? The Jacksonville call center. By how much? 50%. And by when? Within 3 months. Every single element is nailed down. This isn't just a goal anymore. It's a mission statement. And if you think specificity is just for corporate meetings, think again. In 1999, NASA lost a $125 million spacecraft. Why? Because 2 teams had different definitions of measurement. One was using imperial units, the other was using metric. That simple lack of a specific, agreed-upon standard led to, well, total catastrophe. That is the ultimate price of being vague. Okay, let's move on to the next 2 letters, A and R. These are your reality checks. They ground your ambition in what's actually possible and, maybe more importantly, what actually matters to the business. First up, is it achievable? Look, if your current process can only handle a 3% defect rate, promising to hit 0.1% tomorrow isn't ambitious, it's delusional, it's science fiction. And second, is it relevant? Your brilliant project has to solve a problem the company actually cares about right now. It's got to align with those strategic pain points. So you really have to ask yourself this tough question. If the C-suite is up at night worried about bleeding cash, does your project directly address that? Or are you focused on something that, while it might be a good idea, is completely disconnected from the organization's most urgent needs? Being relevant is every bit as important as being right. And finally, we get to the T for time-bound. This is the piece of the puzzle that injects urgency and turns a passive idea into an active chase. Look, a goal needs an expiration date. It's that simple. Without a hard deadline, a project can just stretch on forever, slowly dying from procrastination and a total lack of focus. A clear start date and end date creates a container for the work. It forces action. It means the clock is officially ticking. So, we've walked through all 5 pillars of SMART. But why does this all matter so much? What's the real payoff for doing all this work up front?
A SMART goal completely changes your relationship with your work and with your boss. It's no longer just another item on your to-do list. It becomes a formal, binding contract between you and the company. You've promised a specific outcome, and they've agreed that this outcome is what success looks like. And for your team, this clarity is everything. A well-crafted SMART goal acts like a GPS for the whole project. Everyone knows the starting point. That's your baseline data. Everyone knows the exact destination. There is no ambiguity, no chance of getting lost along the way. The path is crystal clear. And this brings us right back to that dreaded performance review. When your goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, how much room for argument is there at the end? Zero, zilch, nada. You either hit the numbers or you didn't. Success is no longer a matter of opinion. It's a matter of fact. So, okay, you've mastered the art of setting the perfect goal. It's crisp, it's clear, it's absolutely brilliant. But that brings up the next big question. Does anybody actually have to listen to you? And that's exactly what we're going to cover in our next explainer. We're going to break down the project charter, the key document that gives you the official seal, the authority you need to actually lead your team, get resources, and make that brilliant goal a reality. We'll see you then.